Welcome back. We are talking to Tom Winooski, George Taranto, and Michael Collins, our representatives on City Council, about the state of the city and actually ways to turn things around. And George was talking about the increase in employment. But even as that is happening, we are seeing extraordinarily high levels of foreclosure. I mean, neighborhoods are suffering significantly. I didn't need to tell you, I went to a community meeting last night in the Central City with this wonderful group of people who call themselves Central City Citizens. And the reason I love these meetings is that you see government really working. These community folks were talking to representatives from the Land Bank. Kathleen Kovacs was there from the Department of Neighborhoods, and they were saying, this is what we need to see in our neighborhoods. This is what we want to see happen. You know, we're tearing down all of these houses, but then what do we have left? And I have to tell you, tearing down houses without a back plan is not the answer to revitalizing neighborhoods. I have a mother who lives in Detroit, and if you want to see what that can do to a city, just take a ride up north an hour. But how much hope is it reasonable for them to have when there really is no money in the city to get some of these things done?
Well, when we're talking about the finances of the city, and I think as chairman of the finance committee for all of these years, my colleague, Councilman Taranto, has done a fabulous job.
Yes, he's done a great job.
And when I analyze what's going on, and Councilman Winooski brought up the money for Leverett, I look at what is a need and what is a want. And I look at it from a business perspective. If you have $500,000 available to you, and in order to achieve both of these issues, you're going to need $800,000. Well, then, what is the first priority? And then figure out how you're going to get to the second priority financially. And so I just don't believe in just throwing everything in. Money doesn't fix every single problem within a community, and it takes it takes not only the government, but it takes the partnership with the people. And government has a responsibility to listen to the people. In Tom Winooski's district, on the Sylvania Avenue District Station, there's a primary example. Council has already said to the administration, fix this issue, this is what these taxpayers want. What has the administration said? No.
You know, one of the things to take on that, and thanks for bringing that up, Mike, in the sense that I'm not running for mayor, and I've tried to make this public. I wish either this mayor, next mayor, whatever, would do more of a concentrated effort with the district council members so that they would sit down with us and say, give me your 1 year, 2 year, 4 year plan and beyond. What is important to you, so that when they go to these Central City neighborhood meetings
or North End meetings or South End meetings, right?
I can say, I mean, I've got a 4 year plan internally here, and we've achieved some of those, but Sylvania Avenue development is on my list for this term. But I wish there was a more concentrated effort on each neighborhood is unique. So, district rep, the mini mayor that Mike and I have talked about, what would you like to see, and based on your one-to-one communications with the constituents? And I wish we did more of that.
Yeah. What do you do then when you go to the administration, any of you, with plans for your particular constituencies, and they say no?
Well, you know, unfortunately, and I guess I go back to the Southwick issue. Number one, the city of Toledo doesn't own the Southwick complex. We have no ability to guide it into how it's going to do its business model out of there. Those are controlled in private industry. And last August, when the administration came forward with that magnificent plan to save Southwick, if they would have just talked with me, I would have told them that I have already been to this issue and there is not anything here. This is a flim-flam, and walk away with it. Away from it. Don't get yourself engaged in this. However, that was not the case. They went on their own, leaving me, the district councilman, completely out of the loop. And then look what happened. It blew up in their faces. And that makes that property that much more difficult to move in the future, because no one trusts government because what was done. And all they had to do, then Deputy Mayor Carruthers or Mayor Bell or Deputy Mayor Hurwat had to do was ask me, and I would have told them.
You know, you said a million really provocative things in that statement, but the one that really sticks for me is the fact that there is no trust. And you all are certainly very smart men, and you know that the public sees that as well. And that translates into some fair frustration with all of you for just not being able to get it done.
I hate to jump in too much on this and
No,
knock
please,
me over.
yeah, George, you're being uncharacteristically quiet today.
I think there is more of a PR problem, and some of the things we talked about earlier. I wish I don't like to see the media where someone's calling us buffoons. There's a fiasco. You read at the bottom of the online blogs. And we're not. We don't sit on our thumbs throwing darts at a board figuring out how to do things. We really work on a lot of things, whether it's in our neighborhoods or together, and I wish that came out a little more.
I wish it would too, quite frankly, because I think at the end of the day, as I said earlier, all of you get A's and A pluses for your intentions, and it's not always translated that way. But you know what? And let's talk about the PR piece for just a second. We just have a few minutes left, but. You know, I think sometimes you guys create your own nightmares. I think you do. Like this last business with the termination notices, which we can talk about that like off camera. But you know what I really thought, what I really wished you all had done? I wished you had just let it go, not address it. It was not what the public wanted to spend time on talking about. We are all human beings. Who cares? You know, I know one person in the whole world who has never had a turn-off notice for something. One person. I wish you would have let it go. When you spend the time responding, then it takes away from the important issues. Well, you know, and you're not going to win a fight like that. Yeah. You're not going to win that fight. And so maybe a better job of picking your battles, maybe. Councilman
Collins brought that up when you said this is really the smokescreen. We need to address our infrastructure, and you're referring to the deposit from the Department of Public Utilities. Right. Yeah, and you're right. And I think we are now tackling that. I mean, the water rate increase. There's going to be something. We don't know what it is. We're looking at various loans that might help mitigate that a little bit. So we are working, and hopefully, you know, we're going to come out with a rate increase. People are going to hate us, but it has to be done, and we are thinking it through, I think, pretty thoroughly.
Can we talk about that? I would like that to be the issue that we sort of end this discussion with today. I want to say to you that we have so much to talk to these guys about. They will be back next week to talk to us about a list of other things as well. So if you don't hear it today, you have a whole week to give me a call. Just go to my Facebook page, the Bridges Facebook page, put your question on there, and I'll be sure to get it to them. But let's go back to the water issue. So for a city that's already filled with residents who are strapped, help me make this make sense to people who are hearing you say this.
We have a water plant that was built in 1941. It needs massive upgrading. Yes. The Ohio EPA and the federal EPA basically are pointing very large firearms at our heads, and these things have to be addressed, because the worst thing that can happen is someone wakes up in the morning and you can't shower because the water plant is down. So how did this all happen? I would say if you go back into the 90s, there was benign neglect on the part of previous administrations. They should have addressed these issues, should have looked at what they could raise water rates, maybe 1% or 2%. We wouldn't be in this mess. But nobody wanted to touch that. And as a result, now we're in the 11th hour, and we have to get that plant up to speed and replace a lot of equipment, and water rates will have to be increased. We're trying to do it as economically as possible.
So, George, tell me again what your proposed increase will be.
We don't know yet. We're waiting on a proposal from the administration. They should be coming to us shortly.
Do you know if it would be a permanent increase, or is it temporary just to get these repairs done?
I would think it would be fairly permanent.
You're thinking permanent, Michael?
The question I have with it is, and it's going to be permanent, and this cannot be understated. This is a huge problem. We about lost all the water in the city of Toledo in August of last year. We had a major pump breakdown. There was no ability to get a part for it that broke because they didn't make them anymore, and so they had to actually tool and die it out. We came very close to losing our entire water systems last August. My big question, and this I brought up to the administration after the meeting was over on Tuesday, I said, I believe that those who are homestead, meaning retired, that are on substandard as far as the economic picture goes. They're living under the minimum wage or at the minimum wage. We must have a compromise to address their issues, because they are the ones that are going to be hurting the most. Not that everybody's not going to hurt, but they will be hurting the most, and I'm hopeful that I will see something that protects them, and albeit it's going to have to add a little bit more on the other end of the scale.
Sure.
But it's a lot easier to adjust if you're not living below the minimum wage
Than
than it
otherwise.
is if you're going the opposite direction.
Right. We're going to have to let that be the last word, unfortunately. Clearly, you see that we don't have enough time to talk about all the critical issues we'd like to address. But you're coming back next week. That's the good news. Stay with us. We're going away for just a moment, but we will be right back.